Folks, this is Dave with Dave's About Home Care, and we have a special guest here we're about to meet. That's Jennifer, and she is a flight attendant with a major U.S. carrier, and we're going to see her in a second. All right, let's go. Okay, hi folks, this is Dave with Dave's About Home Care. I'm here with our special guest, Jennifer. She is a certified flight attendant on a major U.S. carrier, and we're here to answer some questions today about some common things that may come up when you're considering a caregiver for your travel needs. Hi Jennifer, and thank you for being here today. I really appreciate your presence, and I think this will be really good for people out there that are looking for resources and information on how best to travel with someone who may be in need of caregiving.
Absolutely. I've been a flight attendant for over 5 years and help many seniors and people with special needs during flight.
Okay, great. So I have some questions here that some of our viewers have sent to me over time. I've often brought up this topic, and so we have some common questions, and I think it would be really valuable for our listeners to hear what you have to say, some practical tips, and really whatever comes to mind. So first is, what are some common considerations when flying with a senior or someone who requires assistance?
Well, you want to make sure you give yourself plenty of time getting to the airport. You also want to make sure that you have let the carrier know that you're going to maybe need extra time boarding, as well as maybe wheelchair assistance to and from the gate.
Okay.
You're also going to want to make sure all of your medications are with you. And also something I like to add too is make sure you have battery chargers for your phones. You want to reduce stress.
You want to reduce stress. Right.
Yes.
And so by having the medications on board, that's really important, probably.
Very important. Do not ever check your medications. They always need to be with you in your carry-on.
Don't check them into your luggage.
Yes.
And you probably don't want to have like an in-flight emergency because of a lack of medications,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Okay. Have you ever encountered someone who ran out of medications on board?
Yes, we have. Diabetics.
Okay.
That's been, and just having to make sure that we, keep their sugar at a certain level, or if they start to feel bad during flight.
Okay.
We want to avoid any sort of emergencies or, complications during flight. And you
Sure.
just always need to make sure that you let the flight attendants know any of your special needs.
Okay.
Want to sit near the front of the aircraft, near the lavatory.
Okay, that's perfect. I love that, knowing about the seating location and how that can be beneficial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just communication is key.
Communication is key.
And don't be afraid to ask for what you need.
Because as a flight attendant, you're really there, although a lot of people feel like, you're there to serve drinks, you're really there for safety of the passengers.
Yes, comfort and safety.
Comfort and safety, yeah. All right, that's a good tip for our listeners. So how early do you think travelers should start planning their flight, like before the flight date? How far in advance should you order your tickets and things like that?
The earlier the better. You always get a better deal.
Okay.
The earlier you order them. So for financial reasons, I always say get them as soon as you know. And
okay.
And if flights do go down, you can always get a price adjustment.
Okay.
So it doesn't hurt to book early.
Okay. A little bit of an expert tip there. Price hack.
Yes.
All right. And then as far as things like if you need a wheelchair, I know you mentioned that you should try to request one or notify the airline if that might be a possibility.
Notify your carrier that you're going to need one, and they can have one set up to meet you.
Okay. And do they need a certain amount of advance notice or same day?
Yes,
okay.
Usually when I would do it when you're booking your ticket.
Oh, okay. That far in advance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about as far as caregiving needs? If one of your passengers, as you know, we are a non-medical home care aid informational channel. And so when somebody's going to book a flight, they have to book the ticket for themselves. But what about the caregiver? Do they have to buy an entirely, separate ticket, or
Yes,
Okay.
You're going to require a ticket.
Okay. Do you think, now I know that in some airlines there might be special fares for bereavement or something. Do you think they have that for also caregivers?
That I'm not sure of. I would definitely check with whichever airline you're flying. It never hurts
Okay.
to be proactive about that.
And it might help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, great. That's good to know, because that would be one of the first things I wonder about, is if there is a price discount possibly available. But
Yeah.
okay.
It's sad to see a lot of people travel without caregivers or without a companion, somebody to help them. And when they get on, they really don't speak to the flight attendant and let them know that they're going to need help. But we always end up kind of figuring it out and
Making it work.
helping them maneuver around. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any specific forms of documentation needed to confirm the need for assistance or a caregiver?
Not that again will depend on, I guess, certain airlines. And I'm a flight attendant. I don't deal with the booking of flights.
Okay.
But always check with your carrier, whoever you're using, to ask them about those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there certain times of day that you should fly, or it might be better for passengers who require special assistance?
Yes, I always think first flights of the morning, because things tend to get delayed as the day goes on based on weather and other situations. So I always say the first flights of the morning are the best.
Okay. That seems to make sense. Should travelers with special caregiving needs request a certain seat or a position in the airplane?
They should always pre-board. So you just have to let the gate agent know, the customer service agent, gate agent, even when you're booking your ticket, that you're going to need extra time to board. Just allow yourself that time.
Okay.
They'll help you with your carry-on bags.
Okay.
It's always just best to pre-board. That way you get to sit up front. You'll have a flight attendant at your beck and call, and you'll be close to the labs.
Yeah.
Which are always easy, because sometimes if it's a mobility issue, it's better to be closer to the lavatories. And then you're not having to walk back and forth from the back of the plane all the way forward
Yeah.
when deplaning.
I've heard of something that some people refer to as Jetway Jesus. Can you elaborate on this a little bit?
Well, a lot of people need pre-boarding.
Okay.
So that means they get to pre-board early.
Yeah.
But then when we get to their location, they need wheelchairs to pre-board. But when they get to their locations, they do not need the wheelchairs anymore.
Okay. And so there's a miracle that happens.
It's a miracle that happens in flight.
And then suddenly they're able to walk off.
Able to walk.
Wow, that's amazing. All right. I know you mentioned that pre-boarding is something that you should request. How do you request pre-boarding?
Well, you can do that while you book your ticket, but also when you're at the airport waiting to board, you can let them know ahead of time that you're going to need to pre-board.
Okay. All right.
There is no proof that you need to show for that. It's just based on your needs.
You just request it, and then they'll provide that.
Yes.
Okay. They just give you the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
That's nice. Okay. On the day of the flight, we talked about pre-boarding. And what are the best practices for arriving at the airport? When should you arrive? When somebody needs extra help?
Generally I would give myself a couple hours.
Okay, like at least 2 hours?
At least 2 hours for domestic flights.
Okay.
Definitely. I would give yourself as much time as you need.
Okay.
Just to make sure that you have, if you need wheelchair assistance, that someone's there, and that getting through security can be time consuming. So I would just give myself a solid 2 hours. Okay,
a solid 2 hours. That seems to be consistent with what the TSA generally recommends for arriving at the airport anyway, for security, and so to be on the safe side. Especially
when you need assistance, you don't want to be there late and last to board and have to walk towards the end of the aircraft to get a seat. So it's best to give yourself plenty of time.
Okay. All right. What should caregivers expect during the TSA screening process?
Just as if they were a normal passenger.
Okay.
But they'll be assisting with their client.
Okay. All right. So they just have to expect the same thing, basically.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. So when somebody's on the flight, once they're on the plane, how can flight attendants assist the person that's receiving the caregiving? Is there anything special that they can do, or anything like that?
What do you mean, assist?
So how can flight attendants assist in the cabin? What services are available once the plane is airborne?
Once the plane is airborne?
Mm-hmm.
They can assist the caregiver with, getting maybe water for medications, helping the caregiver, with where the lavatories are, informing of things. The caregiver can also inform the flight attendants of maybe special needs that might be needed for the...
What if the person doesn't have a caregiver, but they clearly are in need of some assistance?
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
That happens way too often.
Yeah. So let's just suppose somebody's in that position. How can the flight attendants help that person once airborne?
Well, I've noticed we've had a lot of people traveling by themselves who needed lots of care. So we just make sure that we give them help getting to the lavatory. We just ask them, once we kind of figure out that they have special needs that we need to help with, we just communicate. That's like one of the biggest things, communicate, and they will tell us their needs.
Yeah.
And we also definitely make sure that when we land, that the gate agents know that we need we might need a wheelchair. This person needs somebody. They're traveling by themselves. They have another flight to catch. We just gather as much information as we can and communicate that.
Okay. All right. That's great. These tips are really valuable. Hope they save some headaches for a lot of the people that are watching.
Well, we want to avoid stress for our passengers, especially ones that need the extra help.
Yeah.
And even things, like I said, like taking that first morning flight in case they get delayed, and also making sure that they have their phones charged, because a lot of them don't have charging devices. And that's like just trying to alleviate some of the stress for them, because they tend to get stressed easily.
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense. Can flight attendants accommodate specific needs, like helping seniors with mobility issues to the restroom or providing extra blankets?
Yes. My particular company I work for, we don't provide blankets.
Okay.
But I have lent my jackets out if it was cold, or we do.
Oh, even your very own personal jacket?
Very own personal jacket.
Wow, that's really nice of you.
Yeah, or I have little hand heater things that I let them use.
Wow.
I also let them use my charging devices if they're
if they're really desperate.
If they're in need, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we help them to the lavatories a lot.
Okay.
A lot of people. I'm surprised that they're traveling by themselves.
Yeah.
It's very. It's just kind of sad when they're by themselves and they have such mobility issues and things like that. So we definitely try to make things as easy as possible for them and make them feel comfortable.
Okay, that's really nice.
Also, a lot of times too is getting on and off the airplane. There's just this one area that looks maybe not so sturdy when you're getting off, so we're always helping them off.
In that little area, is it between the plane and the jetway? Yeah.
The jet bridge. Yes.
Yeah.
There's kind of
Especially because not everybody travels a lot, so this may be.
And there aren't handles, and it's So I like to make sure, especially when people have wheelchairs waiting for them, that they get help exiting the aircraft.
Yeah. All right. And
we like to anticipate their needs too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people feel embarrassed maybe, or don't feel comfortable telling us exactly what they need. So when they get up and you see them sort of struggle, you immediately go to their aid to help.
I love that proactive approach.
Yeah.
I think it's something that seems like...
You want them to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You want them to feel embarrassed. You want them to be safe. So
it sounds like flight attendants are trained to be proactive.
Very.
Yeah.
Anticipating needs.
Anticipate, don't procrastinate.
It's okay.
Okay. So we already talked about the disembarkation process, I guess, the leaving the plane time. What's the process for wheelchair assistance or moving through the airport after the flight?
So when they get off the flight, and they have already requested a wheelchair, there will be a pusher waiting, and the pusher will either take them to their gate if they're taking another flight, or will take them down to pick up their bags or to meet their ride.
Their loved one or somebody?
Loved one.
Yeah. Okay. So I've seen wheelchairs in airports all the time. I've never asked about what they're doing, or how it works, since I've been lucky to not need it myself.
You never think about that.
No.
No, because when I had to travel and I broke a toe, I didn't think about that, and I was on crutches.
Oh.
And it was miserable. And when I was getting off the plane, the flight attendant said to me, "No, you're taking a wheelchair off." And I'm like, "Oh, has that been available?" Like I didn't.
Right,
yeah.
right. That's good to know.
Yeah.
And
always ask for what you need.
Okay.
Always. Don't be embarrassed and
Sure.
be proactive for yourself. And
don't be shy.
and the
They're there.
caregivers need to, yeah.
Okay. What advice do you have for people needing caregiving assistance if they have a layover or need to switch flights? Do you have any advice or personal advice?
So if they're on their own, the wheelchair pusher will be with you. They can take you into the bathrooms if you need.
Okay.
They'll put you at your gate. They're really amazing. They'll make sure that you're completely comfortable and you're set. And
So if a passenger's with the caregiver, they bring their own personal caregiver on the flight, how can the caregiver best prepare for unexpected issues that might arise during the flight? Any supplies or anything of that nature?
all right, well, I think the caregiver should have the medications that the client might need, maybe snacks, and definitely water. I mean, we have that on the airplane, but it's always good to have a backup with you.
Do you have any final advice for any travelers who are nervous about flying with a loved one, who need special care, or in general, people that are just nervous flying?
Don't be nervous flying. All the flight attendants will help you. Don't have to stress out about it at all. We're there to make your ride comfortable and safe.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights today. I think it was really valuable. I think people will get some or a lot of valuable tips out of this. And if they need to contact you somehow, is there any way they can send you a message, or should they send me a message and I'll relay it to you? Send me a message?
Information private.
Okay.
Remember, catch flights, not feelings.
Yeah, catch flights, not feelings. You heard it here. All right, Dave's About Home Care.